Welcome to day 3 of the 2026 Mega Heatwave. We are actually going to start at 6:30 a.m. where it is still 81.8 outside. So apparently the lowest temperature ever got throughout the whole entire night was 81.6. I hit the down button on my weather station. Yeah, it's not doing anything. This is also combined with very high humidity. And expected to get pretty much as hot today as it did yesterday. And here's the real issue. The whole house is still hot and humid. The entire house, it never went below 83 the entire night. And it is absurdly humid. And here I've noted a little issue. There's water on the floor, which is all pooling from what the toilet is taking out of the air. So overnight relief was very little. This is currently pretty much where the lowest temperature would be at. It's still 81.5 degrees out. I will be going to work in a few minutes, so I'll update you when I get home. And the temperature will probably be well into the 90s already by that point. Okay, I come home, it's like 11:20. Already 91.2 degrees outside. It was so hot throughout the entire morning. It's already getting very hot the late morning too. Like, this is just ridiculous. It is so hot and humid. And I'm expecting this heat to do some real damage today, especially considering the indoor temperatures for most of the house still have not recovered from yesterday. It's 88 in this room. And most other rooms are also going to be very, very hot. Like, let's look at the kitchen here. 86.1. So it's already heating up again. And 85 here. Well, it's not much of an update for right now. It's just, an attempt at managing all of this heat. The ceiling fan going on high again. With those windows still fully open from last night. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for right now. Getting hot again. My EcoFlow is producing solar power, so that's good. But in the meantime, I have yesterday's video to edit together and do stuff on, and I've got more charts to make, so I will update you later. Alright, we just passed 12 p.m. and my EcoFlow is now at a full charge and ready to power my air conditioner. So, we're going to go ahead and get that going here. And I hate to cut it off mid-fan, but I gotta get this on EcoFlow power as soon as I can. So I'm gonna unplug it and plug it in here. There we go. Now my air conditioner is ready to run off of solar, which is going to be very helpful for today. It looks like this low voltage situation has at least improved a bit. It's now 115, which is back up to a reasonable level, at least. But still, today may present power grid failures, so I am taking all the measures necessary to ensure that I am going to be guarded against catastrophe if that were to happen. My EcoFlow is now completely charged up, thank you, sun. My air conditioner is now going to be powered off by EcoFlow for the rest of the peak production period. And don't worry about the comfort sense light being off. See, it just turned back on. My air conditioner will figure itself out as soon as the remote sends out a little temperature signal, which it does periodically. That's how the comfort sense feature works. It turns the remote on the wall here into a thermostat, so this, you know, it reads the temperature of wherever in the room it is, and sends a little IR signal to tell the air conditioner over there what the room temperature is, and the air conditioner will use that information to know when it needs to cool and when it needs to stop cooling. And the side panels are dark now, and my window blinds are staying closed for today. You know, modifications that I made yesterday after realizing, you know, I need to do some better thermal insulation to keep my air conditioner running a little bit less to still achieve the same temperature in this room. And the best way to do that is to prevent heat from getting in the first place wherever possible. So that's what I did yesterday, and hopefully that will hold up for today. Alright, it's almost 12:30 p.m. We've already hit 93 degrees outside, so already looking hotter at this time of the day than it was this time of the day yesterday, where it was only like, I think around 92 this time of day yesterday. And we're a full degree hotter this time around. Yeah, a lot of overnight heat was stored, and that does concern me because it may end up actually being hotter today than it was yesterday, which I have considered as a possibility, but didn't think that it would actually play out that way. Speaking of hotter today than yesterday, I think my camera lens may fog up. Well, it's still alright in here, 74. That's for the remote. That's reading 73. But got 85 in the house right now. And 86 in this room. The window is closed, by the way. It's even warmer in here, and I'll show the leading contributor to that. The sun. And holy crap, it's almost 87 here already. 87 was pretty much the peak temperature of most rooms in the house yesterday. And it's only 12:30 p.m. and we are already close to where we were at like 4 or 5 p.m. yesterday. That is extremely worrying. Also, this thing is currently showing 103.6, the deck one. In the kitchen, we have 87.4.5 degrees. And 93 outside and almost 92 in this room. This room is absolutely becoming an oven. And that would be why. Ton of sun coming in, and there's just nothing that can be done about it. The temperature went up again. It is 12:57 p.m. and it's now 93.5 outside. In any case, since my air conditioner is now actually running, it's time to get started with what I've had to do consistently yesterday and will have to do consistently today, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, which is spraying down this solar panel to effectively keep it cool. That way I will continue to make peak power. So the process is the same as it has been. I just turn on the water here, so the water will go through this entire hose here. And then you see my solar panel there. What I'm going to do is make sure this is on the shower mode. The hose feels hot, so the water inside is probably really hot. And now I'm just going to start spraying down the panel. And at first it's going to be scalding hot water coming out of here, because it is so hot out right now and it's direct sunlight. And there's helicopter leaf on the panel. So give it a good spray with the hot water. Alright, let it sit for a little bit so some of the water will evaporate. Let's get this off. In fact, there's a second one over here. Alright. Now there should be cold water in the hose instead of hot water. See, that evaporated very quickly. Now I sprayed again with the colder water that's worked its way in. And this will subtract more thermal energy from the panel. I want to subtract the thermal energy from the panel, that way it continues going with its peak performance. Because as the panel heats up, its performance decreases because it's, you know, can't get that hot. Get these out of here because they're kind of blocking some of the sunlight, so I'm just gonna have to rip some of these out. Not a huge deal. Anyways, that was the second round of water. Now I'm gonna give it a third round of water to ensure continued effective cooling of the panel. So give it more water here. Now the water's truly cold here. Get that leaf over there off. I have to get it more direct. There we go. And notice how quickly it is evaporating. Let's hit it just one more time. And while I'm at it, that will hopefully help to keep some extra thermal energy out of my bedroom. Just hitting the window with some water. So when thermal energy tries to get in there, it will instead go into evaporating that water off my window instead of intruding into my bedroom. That's the hope, at least. Now, shut the water back off. And now that the water is disengaged and no longer feeding in here, I will just spray one more time to use up the rest of the water stored in the hose. That way that water doesn't end up getting hot over time. And I can add a little extra cooling to this panel while the water is still cold in there. There we go. The panel has been sprayed down and should be effectively cooling down now. And now, coming inside here, as you can maybe see there, we're now making 316 watts, 318 watts, so almost 320 watts compared to earlier it was around 280 watts. The output is only 569 watts because my air conditioner is actually not the only thing being run off of my EcoFlow. Now I'm actually using some extra power to charge this smaller EcoFlow because it needs to be recharged a little bit. But I want to ensure I still keep plenty of power in that one, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug this and it should hopefully be good for right now. Hopefully on Sunday I can get this one outside since it finally won't be 90 degrees anymore and give it some direct solar power to recharge. Because I use the River 2 Max to charge my phone and my radio and stuff. All the smaller things. And the Delta 3 Plus is what I use as the main solar power source for the bedroom here, including to charge this computer, so let's go ahead and plug it back in. There. And that's now taking some power. Computer will charge around 50-60 watts maximum, so yeah, looks like it's probably pulling around 30 right now. That's assuming my air conditioner is running at its maximum of 450 watts, but I'll get the specifics if I check the EcoFlow app, so that's what I'm going to do. Because that is just a generalized output there. It shows the overall power allocation. To get it on a per device or per output port basis here, I have to go here, and there you can see 462 watts of the air conditioner and 15 watts for my computer. So yeah, my air conditioner is conditioning my air, and it is staying cool in this room. Also, yesterday's video is now in the exporting process and should be up by later today, hopefully. So yeah, keeping this room cool. The rest of the house, I dread to say, may get up to 90 degrees today for the first time in a very long time. Alright, it's time for the almost 3 p.m. update. Some time has passed. That is still exporting. That has taken a long time because, well, very long video. And I'm just built on getting solar power for today, so this is going to be the last cooling cycle I let my air conditioner get off of this EcoFlow here. Hopefully it will have enough to give for that. It was at 60% when the air conditioner turned on just like a few seconds ago. I think it should be good. But let me show you what is not good. So while the temperature is still great in here, we're now pushing beyond where we were yesterday for the rest of the house. It is 87 here. It is 87.9 here, so almost 88. I think it will help to close this. And right, let's look in the kitchen. That's really bad, 88.6. It will once again help to close any connections to the outside air. That's what's being registered at the deck, which is still getting hit with the sun. And this weird dipping thing is happening again. So what's happening is, it's now dipped down to around 90. It was 93.9 sometime earlier. And we're having that dip happening again. I'm not sure what the story is with that. But based on what happened yesterday, the temperature is going to rise again once we get beyond 3 p.m. and then it's probably going to peak higher than it was earlier. So maybe 97 or 98 today. We will see. There's the deck thermometer. That's probably all the way full again with the mercury maxing out. I realize I forgot to check in here. Yeah, it's not terribly good. So now the real battle begins. the indoor temperature is going to continue to rise throughout the day. And, yeah, that's not good. Alright, it's 3:46 p.m. now, and part 2 is up. Anyways, this is what the weather app has now, saying that it got to 98 earlier. I am totally out of focus. Saying that it got up to 98 earlier at 1 p.m. So, very, very hot yet again. My air conditioner is conditioning my air. And as for the power coming into the house, it's better than yesterday. It's 112 while my air conditioner is running, so that's still not very good, you know. Still, you know, too low compared to what it should be. Like, it should be between 115 and 120 volts. So 112 is still a little bit too low to be desired, but it's better than yesterday. It's not 108 like it was yesterday, because that was really bad. So it's a little bit better, but that's still not very good. Like, it shouldn't be getting that low. Although, this is while my AC is running. So, yeah, I think while the AC isn't running, it's around 115. But still, my air conditioner shouldn't be causing it to drop by that much, because this is only a 5,000 BTU unit, which should only be pulling as many as 450 watts. So, something else must be going on, and once again, I think it's stress on the power grid from a ton of cooling demands today. And it could even be more than yesterday because there wasn't much overnight relief. So, yeah. It's just, once again, extremely hot today, and there doesn't seem to be much relief in sight. Let's go and do some temperature checks. So, yikes. It's still 74 in here, and my air conditioner is running. Now that's according to this thing. Alright. That's got 71 on it. I kind of fear we may be at the point where my air conditioner is going to be running absurdly long cycles now. That did happen last year, if you remember from there. When it was 102 out. On this thermostat here, 87. Again, it is getting absurdly hot everywhere. In here, window is closed, by the way, so no extra heat should be getting in. 87.7. Okay, that just dipped a little bit. I'm wondering if this fan's even doing anything anymore. I have a feeling it probably isn't, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. This thing has a terrible IR sensor in it. We have 88.5 degrees in the kitchen. Now it went up to 88.6. It is extremely hot in here. This is the one room that got to 90 besides that room over there. Yeah, last year. The weather station, we're positioned above the deck. 98.7, 88.7 indoor. Well, you know what? Having the living room temperature. It's just about 88 in here. And this, right here. Well, it's 92.5 degrees inside here, but outside the weather station is still holding around 90. It's 89.9 according to this thing. And that's been a pretty steady plateau for like an hour now. Getting a feel for what it's actually like out here today. There's my air conditioner. Absolutely cranking out cold air. by pumping all that heat out here, of course. Looks like the fins are getting worse on the side there. I'm gonna have to fix that. There's definitely stuff flying at it for some reason. Maybe the helicopter leaves is what made that noise yesterday, because I found a couple on my panel earlier today. Anyways, I did come out here for the purpose of getting the thumbnail shot, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna get the right angle. I'm not doing it with my camera, by the way, I'm doing it with my phone. That way I can just directly upload it to Lightroom, and it will easily be available on my computer. It is remarkably hot out here, just like yesterday. Even if I go back here in a fully shaded, tree-covered area where this weather station sensor is currently being covered by this, let's get that off. That may or may not mess with the readings. Okay. There we go. That's just been out here for like a decade and a half. But, yeah. It is still extraordinarily hot. The wind feels warm, but at least it doesn't feel like space heater hot like it did yesterday. That really worried me. But it's still quite warm. And I see zero clouds at all in the sky. Yeah, the wind is very, very warm, but thankfully not space heater hot. And there's no more, well actually there's that little patch of sunlight, but that's not really going to make much power now, is it? It's also, looks like my solar panel has been overrun by ants. They will get off of the panel. You know why? Because I'm going to spray it down. That will get those stupid ants off the panel. I know I'm done producing power for the day, well, for the most part anyways. But this is to get rid of those ants. I sure need to hit it multiple times now. Now I'll just get rid of the rest of the water built up in here. So even after the sun has stopped directly hitting my solar panel, let's get the rest of the water out of there. It is still quickly evaporating. It's just because the air is so warm. Anyways, the ants are now gone. And my solar panel is good to go. And whatever little amount of power it will continue to make through the rest of the afternoon may or may not benefit me. We'll see. My air conditioner is plugged back into grid power, so yeah. Anyways, that's what it's like outside. It is just barely not as bad as yesterday, but it is still really hot. And the thermometer out here, which was maxed out yesterday, probably was maxed out earlier today when the sun was hitting this area, but the sun is no longer hitting this area, and this is just showing 90 degrees right now. So yeah, it is still remarkably hot. But I'm gonna get back in my room now where it's air conditioned. One more noteworthy thing though, this is starting to go back up just like it did yesterday, and it's now 90.1 according to the weather station again. And it just passed 4 p.m. so I'm gonna continue to monitor this and see if it ends up getting very, very hot in like the 5 to 6 p.m. hour again, like it did yesterday. with a second surge of heat. I have no idea what is going on with that, but that's what happened yesterday, and it looks like that might be what happens again today. So my air conditioner is still conditioning my air, you know, as it has been doing all day, and I am noticing, I'm beginning to see what was happening last year when it was 102. Here's the current temperature graph for the last hour, and my air conditioner's been running for nearly that entire hour. So, yeah, I'm gonna, right there, that's when it, turned on. 3:38 p.m. and right now it's actually 4:34 p.m. so it's almost an entire hour's worth of runtime for my air conditioner there. And then if I track back, this right here, this valley being higher than normal with a little shorter runtime, is because I had to cut one of the cycles a little bit short. It was still plenty cool in here, but I had to cut one of the cycles a little bit short so I could move my air conditioner back over to being plugged into the wall instead of being powered off my EcoFlow, because my EcoFlow was starting to run a little bit low on the power that it could give to my air conditioner, and I'm not really making much more solar power anymore for today. So that's what that is. Other than that, my air conditioner is running for large amounts of time. Let's see, there's another cycle running from like 1:49 p.m. to like 2:36. So that one's almost an hour as well. And then when it shuts off, 2:36 p.m., it next calls for cooling only 23 or 22 minutes later. So, yeah, and there's the entire last 24 hours. This is only going to 3:18 p.m. because I scrolled back a little bit, so that's most of the last 24-hour period. And yeah, my air conditioner is obviously running more than it is not running, so it is once again absurdly hot outside that my air conditioner has to run for a very large amount of time today in order to keep this bedroom at a reasonable temperature. Alright, it is 4:46 p.m. right now, and it's still around 90.3 outside, so the temperature is going back up kind of slow, but it is going back up. And yeah, outside the story's kind of the same. Well, it looks like there's still some water left on my panel at least, so that should help to keep it cool, especially as the late afternoon sun getting through the trees starts to bring a little extra power to it. I've used over 1 kilowatt hour of solar power today, which is the most I have done yet, so it's pretty good. That's a kilowatt hour that the grid did not have to supply to my air conditioner. Great. Although my air conditioner wasn't the only thing that actually made use of it. So, yeah. In any case... Oh, I forgot to show the temperature with this room here. This room's starting to go down just a little bit, actually. It's 91.4 in here. It was 92 in this room earlier. 88 still in here. '87 here. It feels so hot. And in here, 88 again. And eventually the heat's just gonna take over. There's nothing you can really do about it. Alright, let me see the living room here. Same thing, 88.1. I have a feeling that the windows being completely all the way wide open has something to do with it. here's the ceiling fan cranking on high again, like it's been doing for just about the last 2 days. And yeah, it does have a little bit of a wobble on its highest speed, if you can see it there. Hopefully my Harbor Breeze Mayfield doesn't have any wobble to it and is quite quiet too, because it's going in my bedroom and I would like a very good ceiling fan in my bedroom. I've heard good things about the Mayfield, so yeah. And it's also a 44-inch, which is a pretty good size for my bedroom, so yeah. Along with the appearance of it considered and its performance, which is better than most other 44-inch ceiling fans, especially flush mount ones. And I did research on other people, you know, testing out Harbor Breeze Mayfields, and have heard some good things about it, so I have high hopes for this ceiling fan. But it's not up yet, even though during this heat wave it would have been great to have it. It's not really critical, because my air conditioner is doing all the work to keep my room cool anyways. Speaking of, wow, it is warming up quickly again. It's already seeing at 74 again. Wow. This sensor says it's almost 73 again. Yeah. Every time my air conditioner cools the room down, it doesn't seem to last very long. You know? Because the heat is just coming in through so many entry points and there's just so much of it. You know, huge volume of heat. Especially given that there wasn't much overnight relief last night, and once again it's very hot today, you know, so even with the extra insulation I added to the side panels yesterday, as you can see there, and keeping my blinds completely closed, it is still warming up very quickly in here, and my air conditioner has a lot of work to do in order to maintain the temperature that I want. So, yeah. I do foresee there will be more heat waves this year. This won't be the only one. This may be one of the worst heat waves, you know, of the decade, and might be the worst heat wave of the year. I feel like even if there are going to be other heat waves this year, they probably won't have the same magnitude as this one. This is a really intense heat wave. But for those future heat waves, the Mayfield will be up. So when the time does come and we have more heat waves, I'll be able to raise the temperature on my air conditioner and just leave the ceiling fan running, and it will still feel fine in here. But for now, my air conditioner is staying set at the temperature I've always had it set to, because I gotta keep it cool in here for relief from this massive amount of heat. And it is not gonna be very long before my air conditioner calls for cooling again. And one more note. Once again, it is too hot to be using kitchen appliances, so I'm going out to eat tonight. So it's 5:21 p.m. and now the real temperature resurge is happening. It is back up to 92 outside. And it looks like this has been going up a lot quicker as of a few minutes ago, because 10 minutes ago maybe I saw this at 91.5, now it's 92.1. And it was plateaued around 90 something degrees for a while. And now it's going back up. No longer any sun hitting the deck. We got 95 on this guy here. Yikes. Also, the electricity situation is actually now even worse than it was yesterday. With the dryer running and my air conditioner running at the same time, we are only getting 106 volts. That's very bad. It's actually bad enough that certain things probably aren't even gonna run properly with this low of a voltage. And this is very, very worrying. This is just a serious problem, and it's definitely now in part from house load, because the dryer is running along with my air conditioner, conditioning my air, as you can probably hear in the background. But of course, power grid strain on a day like today in general is really bad, so that is stacking up and causing this, which is very bad. Of course, I turned the camera off and then the voltage dips even lower. Now it's only 104. This is very problematic, and I'm gonna have to check different outlets around the house, because 104 volts is really bad. This is a concerningly low voltage, and it's probably low enough that it can actually cause some damage to certain equipment. This is not good, and definitely not supposed to be happening. Stupid radio antenna. So given my concern, I've got my multimeter out here, and I'm going to be checking AC voltages around the house. Starting right here. I'm going to insert... Okay, the leads are crossing over each other. Don't want that happening. There we go. Gonna start with live here. And we have, let's insert the neutral. Okay, that is not in correctly. Yeah. Even worse now, 103, 104. Yeah, that actually showed 102 a second ago, but yeah, we're still looking at around 104 volts, which is bad. This is actually a pretty serious problem. Alright, let's move on somewhere else. Let's check the voltage in here, the office. So, I'm gonna get my probes into the outlet here. And we are getting... Is it not staying in too well? Oh, that's... Alright, 111. Yikes. The window fan is on in here. Let me see if turning this off makes any difference at all. No difference. No difference whatsoever. So if I turn that back on then... See, a simple fan is a pretty insignificant load and isn't going to cause issues like this. This is obviously resulting from other strains on the grid. No, the probes are not loose, still showing 111, even when I'm holding them here. But that's in here, and it's even worse than in my bedroom. My bedroom is still maintaining like 113, 114. Alright, here in the living room. Same 111 volts. Jeez, this is bad. This is a much more serious problem than yesterday. Let's check the bathroom, because I know that this outlet is actually on a separate phase compared to all the other outlets I've checked so far. Also, I'm now remembering it was 104, not 114 in my bedroom, so my bedroom is actually the worst so far. I have to move things around here just to get the probes in. Okay, there's one. And here goes the other. And we get... It's not connected. Same 111 volts. It is worth mentioning the dryer is a 240 volt load, so that's probably why. And the dryer is what's doing most of the work here, causing this stress. My air conditioner is a much smaller part of it, but this is still very, very bad. It is now 93.2 degrees out again. The current time is 5:33 p.m. In any case, I'm down in this room, and let's check the outlet here. Once again, I'm gonna have to go one at a time here. Let's do the bottom one. Doesn't really matter, it's all the same thing. And even down here, even worse. This is even worse than my bedroom. 103.8. Oh, now it's coming back up. Yeah, this is seriously low. So, huge issue here. This room is super hot. But yeah, this is what happens when you run a dryer during a heat wave. This is critically low voltage levels for normal operation of stuff, which I think is quite a bad thing. Here's a nice shot of my air conditioner from the outside with the compressor. It does not sound too good, honestly. And I think it's because of the super low voltage that my air conditioner just doesn't quite have enough power to run normally. When running off my EcoFlow, this would never be an issue, but right now, it is quite a problem. And there's no sun hitting the solar panel, so I'm not going to be able to make any extra solar power. But that definitely doesn't sound entirely normal, and it's pretty obvious why, you know, because the voltage is abnormally low to a degree that I was hoping it wouldn't get to. It's actually so low that I fear things are going to start malfunctioning. I was outside for like maybe 2 minutes. The voltage is now down to 102. Yikes! This is the worst I have ever seen it. It's actually worse than yesterday, and well, it is mainly the dryer that is contributing to this humongous voltage drop across the house. But of course, there is external grid strain, like I mentioned yesterday, because yesterday there were no significant loads and the voltage was still like 110, 111 or something like that, even with my air conditioner idle. When my air conditioner was running, it would still drop a little bit more, but not much. My air conditioner pulls enough power to cause the voltage to go down a little bit, but it doesn't cause a huge drop. And really, it's only noticeable in my bedroom in most cases, but with this extreme heat wave, the grid is obviously under a lot of stress, and running high power appliances is not something that I would recommend doing today. Also, the temperature is still continuing to surge back up quite substantially. 93.7 now. We are approaching 94 again, which we pretty much had earlier, and yeah, it's about what I expected, that we would get another larger heat surge in the late afternoon. I don't know why that's been happening here, but that's just how it's been. So, yeah. 93.7 right now, not far off from 94. And once again, just like I did in yesterday's video, I am putting a chart together of my observations via this weather station of the temperature outside, and I will be showcasing that at the end of the video so that you can get an idea of what was observed right here by this weather station and the trend of the temperature in this area over the course of the day. And yes, it does actually disagree with some weather forecasts where they said we'd actually go to like 79 overnight. It didn't even go below 81. So already a discrepancy there. And there are, of course, going to be even more discrepancies, like, you know, the exact temperature trend, which gets updated throughout the course of the day on the weather app. But, of course, what I'm getting here is totally different so far. So, yeah, that's why I want to do my own charts, so I can show you what actually happened and not what the weather service thinks happened. Absurdly low voltage level here in the bedroom now, 102. But it sounds like my air conditioner, well, actually, it sounds like it's running on a lower fan speed, but I think that might just be due to the very low voltage level. Yeah, no, it's not satisfied yet. And it sounds like it's running super slow. This is obviously a very bad thing, and I'm curious to see how much voltage we actually recover once it satisfies. Although, I have a feeling it might end up shutting down before that point. I feel like, you know, voltage level is going to get low enough that it might just have to shut the compressor off without reaching the desired temperature. I don't know if it has any sort of protective feature like that, but this is not good at all, with the voltage dropping this much. The air conditioner's compressor is not designed for voltage like this, and I'm hoping that it does satisfy soon so that it doesn't have to run on this kind of power. And while I would plug it back into my EcoFlow, I'm not working with a whole lot of power remaining, and my air conditioner is going to be doing long run times today, so as much as I want to put it back on my EcoFlow, that's just not an option anymore. I've expended all of the power I made from the sun today, and this is what I have to deal with now. But this is not the kind of power that you would want to be running your stuff off of. This is harmfully low voltage levels. I'm surprised my air conditioner is actually still managing to run. Actually, let me go ahead and check the frequency that is coming in. Hertz. Okay, the good news is that's still 60. But of course, the bad news is the voltage level. Yeah, this is actually quite a problem. My watt meter plugged in here and my actual multimeter have pretty good agreement, so that is overall a confirmation the voltage is indeed this low, which is bad, very bad. And I have a feeling it's maybe doing damage to my air conditioner's compressor, so I may have to manually shut this off again by raising the temperature. So let's turn it up. It really is not designed to run on this kind of low voltage. See, now it's running even slower, and not even pushing out nearly as much air as it normally would. The fan is running very, very slow. This is essentially the closest thing to a brownout I've ever seen here. And somehow most things are still managing to scrape by on this kind of power. Alright, I'm going to look at the voltage while the compressor shuts off to see if it has any significant jump when my air conditioner shuts the compressor off. No, that's not actually as big as I thought it would be. Only got like 1.5 volts back from the compressor turning off. So, yeah, my air conditioner is relatively small in comparison to other loads beyond this house, and of course the dryer, which is running right now too. And it's still running super slow. I don't know if you can hear it, but this is abnormally slow for the fan to be running. And it really is not designed to be running on this kind of power. But now it's just running the fan, so hopefully that will be fine. The compressor's off. It really is not designed to be running on this kind of low voltage. But yeah, it is just about a brownout here, because the voltage is under normal levels. Like, way under this time. Much worse than yesterday. I'm going to see how well the rest of the house is handling this low voltage issue. Wow, those heat indices are crazy. See that? Hundreds all around Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Wow, look at that. And then, oh, that's tomorrow. Yikes. So the ceiling fan appears to be doing just fine. I mean, it's just a DC motor. I don't expect any problems to arise here. It's a very low draw too. Only like 50 watts. Might even be lower than the window fan, which I think the window fan is designed to drop to 70 watts. And that made no difference whatsoever in the voltage level, on versus off. So the ceiling fan won't make any difference either. So that's fine. But there are low voltage levels throughout the house because of the dryer. Dryer is a huge load. Right now it's currently 87.5 in here. It's so hot. At least the humidity is a little more tolerable today. Yesterday the humidity was pretty ridiculous. Wednesday the humidity was even worse, even though it was cooler than it was yesterday. But yeah, today the humidity levels are a little bit more manageable, thankfully. So the temperatures may be similar, but the humidity is a little bit less of an issue today. My God. Now thankfully the wall sconce thing here, the lamp on the wall, this is battery operated, as are the ones in the skylight room, which I actually did make a video on the installation and demonstration of. If you want to see that, I will put a card for that right here. And, well, that's kind of a demo of how they work. But these are battery operated, and there will be no need to worry if something does end up happening with the power here beyond what's already going on with this absurdly low voltage level. There will still be lighting in most rooms, because these are battery operated. The shower light in the bathroom is battery operated. I could use my River 2 Max to continue to power the ceiling fan in the living room if the need calls. Hopefully it won't. But, and of course there's emergency lights that are plugged in here, and there is a second one plugged in here. 95 on this weather station still. My God, it's almost 89. Oh, it is 89 in here. The kitchen is at 89 degrees. Oh God, it's hot. And now it is 94.2 degrees outside according to this weather station, so got more stuff to put on the graph. Hooray, I guess. But it is so hot. Oh my God. I would be dying if the humidity was as bad as it was Wednesday and even yesterday. Thankfully, the humidity is not as much of an issue today as it was for the past 2 days. Well, the voltage is still abnormally low. I don't know why that would change in like 10 minutes or something. Wonder if I should even consider this a brownout, because my light. There we go. Feel like this could possibly be considered a brownout, because these are normally low voltage levels. And I kind of am curious to see when my air conditioner does a fan cycle, how slow it's going to turn on. And yeah, it's not taking very long for the heat to make its way back in here. This heat wave is a real stress to the power grid. Oh my God. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna see how my air conditioner ends up handling this low voltage when trying to start the fan and the compressor up. I have a feeling that, you know, at this very low level, disaster could end up resulting from that. Maybe not from the fan, but when it tries to start the compressor, it probably will cause enough of a brief spike that some very bad things could end up happening around the house. I'm going to be listening to see if my UPS thinks there's any issue with this power, because if it does, then it will switch to battery. And I have a feeling upon compressor startup. Yeah, that might end up being the case, or the AC might even fail to start up on this kind of power. This is abnormally low voltage, and it's not even just that, you know, running high power appliances on its own. It's the overall strain on the power grid from very high cooling demand throughout this entire heat wave. This is just adding up to cause this sort of issue. And, well, it's really bad. So I'm hoping that, you know, relatively soon this low voltage issue will subside. I don't know how long it's going to continue for, and I have a feeling that it is going to be causing severe issues in many regards. One of those issues being with my air conditioner, of course. I've already heard that the fan is running a lot slower than it normally would, and I've always thought that it was because of water in the back of the unit whenever I heard the fan running slower, but it is apparently because of low voltage issues. So I have been putting the blame in the wrong place all this time, and bad power is the actual reason that the fan will run a lot slower at times with this air conditioner. And I've noticed it does happen, you know, during heat waves and when other stuff is running, because all of this load on the power grid is going to drop the overall voltage, and if there's too much stress on the power grid, then it's just going to straight up collapse, which is, of course, a really bad thing. Not that I'm not prepared for that, you know, my ego flow is here, but I've expended most of what I can use for today already, so hopefully there isn't a grid collapse or a grid failure, which, with this voltage level, seems quite plausible. In any case, we'll see what happens when the air conditioner tries to start the fan up. Alright, the fan is starting up. It is starting up super slow. Wow, that is slow. It's probably low or medium. And it sounds like it's slower than the factory low speed. That is ridiculous. The current voltage is still sitting around, yeah, you're going to need the light to see that, 103 volts. Yeah, this is quite the issue here. Hoping that it will resolve relatively soon, but for now, this is a pretty substantial issue. Yikes. Essentially, it's like a heatwave brownout. I don't know if I could quite consider it one because we're still above 100 volts, but it's getting quite low. A lot lower than it usually should be. Like, the standard voltage range here should be like 115 to 120, and it is far below that. It is only like 103 right now, so yeah, I'm on the fence of calling this a brownout here. Alright, so in any case, that's enough of the potential brownout issue. Back to the temperatures. It is 88 here now. It's getting very, very hot in the house. I'm going to go ahead and close this window. I mean, the window fan is trying to circulate air from underneath the house. I'm going to leave a little gap for it to circulate back out. Although I don't think this is really doing anything anymore to help. It's so hot. This room is almost 89 degrees. It's, yeah, there's barely any hope anymore for any sort of cooling at the moment. The kitchen, we've already established that's 89 degrees. Oh god, it's hot. Yeah, this is saying 89 too. It's saying 95 for the outside. Yeah, this one is getting up to that same reading. It is 94.6 on this weather station now. 91 in this room. Oh my god. I'm closing this. I mean, I don't see how it's gonna help now. So temperature's going back up right now. And I am going to be going out to eat in just a little bit, so this may or may not be the last update for the time being. But yeah, temperatures are just continuing to rise. Oh my god, it's so hot. So back into my bedroom I go, where my air conditioner is conditioning my air sporadically. And we'll probably have a hard time doing so at the moment for reasons that I've already explained. Alright, just got back, and well, I have an update. Although most things appear to be fine right now, like my air conditioner's still running, we still have kind of low voltage here, 109.7. But things are going to get really interesting. Well, first of all, in here, that was not on when I left. And if I walk out through the rest of the house. Okay, this is not different at all. 88 here. But what happened is I kind of knew it. The power did actually go out while we were eating, so yeah. I had a feeling something was gonna go wrong with all of this demand for cooling on a day like today, so there was indeed power grid failure, probably very temporary, maybe only for like a few minutes. But I did know this was gonna happen. I mean, not necessarily know, it's not the really right word for this, but I had a feeling this was gonna happen. It's still 90.3. It was somewhere around like 94 when I left. Let's see. You know what? It would be smart to keep this on because I need to check to see what the highest recorded temperature was, and it says 92.3, which is obviously false. This must have reset. But it's safe to assume that the temperature probably maxed out around the time that went out for dinner and has been slowly going back down ever since. It's still 90 out. Oh yeah, there was indeed a power failure. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to figure out. Oh, you'll see that that's flashing. That wouldn't be flashing if the power didn't go out. My weather radio is still good though, because it's got batteries. But presumably, you know, if I open this up, yeah, these have reset and turned on. I'm gonna turn those off. And that was turned on to the light. Let's see what else got screwed up here. The window fan, even if it was on, it's not on anymore. And yeah, the computer is shut down because the power went out, and because of that, a lot of things ended up getting reset. Unfortunately, I wasn't here to see it happen, but it did happen, and it's pretty obvious because everything around the house is reset. I may be able to find out when it happened by looking at some temperature data from my room, because there's a pretty good chance my air conditioner was running when it happened, so yeah, I might be able to figure out. So we're gonna look. Just gonna pull up the data here. Now thankfully my UPS backed everything up in here that needs to be backed up, so TV stand, everything plugged in here, unfortunately did reset. Like my Wii is now fully powered off instead of idle on standby mode. But my clock here did not lose the time, and everything on my desk is good because it's either fully battery operated or backed up by my UPS. So the monitor, that's got backup power, the speakers have backup power, my mouse and my keyboard have batteries, they are battery operated, and my computer, of course, battery. So according to the graph here, it would appear to me that, yeah, the power probably went out around 7:40 because my air conditioner seems to have stopped cooling at this point. And it probably came back relatively quickly, but it definitely didn't get down to the usual set point. As you can see there, still 70.5 instead of, it would go down to like 69.5 on this temperature humidity sensor. And it stopped cooling, so I'm pretty confident this is when the power went out. It may have been out for as many as 10 minutes, I'm not sure. But just based on the graph, that is plausible. And since power was cut to my computer, it went into sleep mode. And let's check the EcoFlow. This is still at the same level that it was when I left. Nothing has changed about that. But I was concerned by the somewhat brownout conditions being observed earlier today. And had a feeling that it could lead to eventual total power loss, which apparently that did indeed end up happening. So, yeah. As for what we're looking at right now, even without high power appliances continuing to run, the voltage is still quite low, comparable to yesterday now. It was very low earlier, but now it's starting to come back up a little bit. But yeah, the power did actually go out. I was concerned about this possibility, and it did indeed happen. So now I have to be on alert for that to potentially happen again, because the heat wave is still not over. You know, there's still tomorrow as well, and of course all of tonight. And all I could say is, yeah, this is something to be concerned about, and obviously the concerns about the power were warranted. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching to see if it ends up going out again, and just to monitor the voltage levels because they're still pretty low. And like we observed earlier, my air conditioner only makes like 1.5 volts worth of difference, so this is insignificant compared to all the other stress on the power grid. But now without the dryer running, the voltage is a little bit better in the house. But it's still low because of cooling demand everywhere else on the grid, so yeah, gonna have to continue to monitor for possible power failure, which we've already had one instance of so far today and throughout this heat wave. And yeah, that's what's going on right now. Hopefully everything will be good, but that did end up happening, so I am concerned of the possibility of a repeat. But that's what we got going right now. My air conditioner is of course conditioning my air again, which is good. So my room is staying cool. But now I have to go and fix a few things around the house. The clocks here are reset, so now I have to fix both of these. Thankfully I've got my watch, which has the atomically accurate time on it. You know, as we were coming home, I was actually paying attention to the current World Cup game because Argentina is one of the teams and I expect them to win because they always do. And, well, I've been monitoring via my radio on the way home, so yeah. Argentina, of course, is still with the upper hand, and I have a strong feeling they're gonna win. even though the team they're up against, Cape Verde, managed to tie them twice now, but Argentina once again has the lead. Just looking at the TV from the side here. Anyways, it's time to reset this, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit set clock. And right now it's 8:34, but I'm gonna go ahead and put in 8:35. That way I can make sure it's atomically accurate. So we're gonna press 8:35, and then as soon as my watch hits 8:35, which it will in 5 seconds, hit the set clock button. Now the microwave is set for 8:35. There's one thing fixed. This is flashing 8:34, which is only like a minute off. 8:35 now. Alright, the outage must have been very brief then, maybe only in order of a few seconds, because this isn't that far off at all. In any case, this has to be reset too. Quite inconvenient to have the reset clocks like this. That's why battery operated clocks are such a good investment. So in order to set this, I have to press the clock button here. And we're just gonna put it for 8:36 and then wait for the minute to turn. Alright. There. These are both set back to the correct time now. It's still 88.5 degrees in this room. It's way too hot. Oh yeah, there's the World Cup going right now. Argentina is, of course, winning, because they always do. And, yeah. Hopefully you don't have to reset too much more around here. But a brief momentary power failure did happen. 87 degrees. The temperature's starting to come down a little bit in here, which is good. Hopefully it will continue to decrease as the night goes on. Let's see if we're getting below 90 on the weather station now. Yeah, we are. Alright. Thank goodness. Finally, around 8:37 p.m., we're dipping below the 90-degree threshold for the day. And because this room is so hot, you know, I may as well just open the door and start some air circulation in here. Normally I wait longer in these heat waves to start using fans for air circulation. But today this room got so hot that I don't think waiting is going to be really worth anything. So, if I can get this fan situated correctly here, we're going to go ahead and start this up right now, because this room really needs the air circulation. Yeah, that actually feels pretty good. Let's head outside real quick, see what we're working with. It is still pretty hot out here, but ever so slightly better than inside, and yeah, it's July 3rd. People are lighting off fireworks. I don't know if I could see any from here, but there's the pool doing its thing. Get down here. It's still light enough that I don't need to turn my light on, so yeah. And there's your shot of the sky. I don't know if that's... okay, maybe a little bit. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can't see where they're coming from. My air conditioner is conditioning my air. Overall, Not too bad out right now. I mean, it's starting to cool down from the ridiculous 94, 95 degrees we had today. Very close to what we had yesterday, but yeah, didn't quite get up to the same level. It was super close, but just a tiny bit lower than yesterday. Ever so slightly. But thankfully, it's now starting to cool down outside. But once again, it's going to be a very warm night, so there won't be much overnight relief. However, since the indoor temperature rose so much today, even further than yesterday because there was barely any relief overnight into today, anything helps, and I'm going to get the fans going now because it is starting to cool off to below the indoor temperature throughout the house, so getting the fans going now is probably a good idea. And there's going to be a lot of activity out here since it's July 3rd. Tomorrow's the 4th of July, and tomorrow I'm going to be going to my aunt's, as I had mentioned yesterday. So, yeah, we will see what transpires for the Heatwave video for tomorrow. Because tomorrow's going to be officially day 4 of the Heatwave. And also want to do some stuff there too, because it's Independence Day, and we have to celebrate our independence. I can kind of see something over there. Alright, I thought I could see something over there, maybe not. Guess it isn't the best time of day yet. It is starting to get kind of dark out though. Let's head back inside. What I really want to do tomorrow is refilm the Ham to Bait Fathom. Because the last remake I did was in 2023, 3 years ago. It got quite loud. I want to see how bad it is now, and I want to do a better quality remake using this camera instead of my phone. So that's something that I want to do. But in any case, the temperature outside is finally starting to descend for the night. And hopefully it will cool down a little bit better tonight. And there'll be a little bit more overnight relief. Although, if it's going to be anything like yesterday, you can't expect much. But maybe we'll at least dip below 80 degrees tonight. It's cooling down outside now. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Pro Air Max in this window and get that going. That was definitely in view. I don't know if it's in focus though, that's the thing. Because I have to keep my focus on the window. I definitely have to work on the side panels for this, but what we'll do, I just needed to exchange the air. Plug it in. That was a violent spark when I plugged it in. That's not good. Side panels are garbage. Okay, that should do it. This is now in service, and we'll cool this room. Alright, you can't see anything in here. Make sure this is facing the right way, because last time it wasn't. This window fan is running now. It's still very hot, but hopefully I can make some progress cooling things down now. The side panel drop is terrible because this one doesn't want to lock in place for some reason. Tried to make it stay and it doesn't want to for whatever reason, so that's the best it's gonna be. Same with the bottom of this one. I mean, it is what it is, and it's not like it really matters because it's just exchanging air with inside and out, so no insulation is really necessary. The side panel, I think, is just for if you want, you know, better air circulation so that the air doesn't escape through the sides, but I really don't think it matters all that much. Well, no surprise, Argentina won. But anyways, this is still blasting. And I have to fix the settings on the light now because of the stupid power outage. See, now it's on warm white, and I want it to be more neutral and dimmer than this. Is this the setting I think it was this one. There we go. I dim it down quite a bit because this is an insanely bright light for a ceiling fan, so yeah. Okay, back in here. That's still probably just satisfied. Never mind. I was wrong. This is reading 73. I think it's just a normal fan cycle then. Okay. I'm gonna check this because this is a thing of concern. It's 109 right now. The voltage. I need my light. We got 109. Yeah, that's not much of a change, and my air conditioner is not cooling right now, so what can I say? That pretty much proves that my air conditioner isn't responsible for the humongous voltage drop, and it's just from general grid stress that all of this is happening. And I do predict there could possibly be more issues. Fingers crossed there won't be, but who knows? We'll have to see. Okay, so it is 9:36 p.m. and I'm just going to go see fireworks in a little bit because they are currently going on right now, and this is a very special 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, so I definitely have to go see those. But I just want to make a quick update before going to do that. So my air conditioner is still conditioning my air, and kind of wanted to speak on the whole electric grid situation. Because, well, yeah. I watched Jordan Yu a lot, and he finally got around to putting up day 1 of the heat wave, and this is indeed the kind of heat wave all up and down the US East Coast where air conditioners are pretty much a necessity unless you want to risk a heat stroke or any of that nonsense. And because of that, air conditioning demand is very high. So that's obviously going to put a lot of strain and stress on the power grid, and as a result, at least since yesterday, I have been seeing unusually low voltages here in the home, even with no significant loads running at the time. Like yesterday, even when my air conditioner was idle and there was nothing else high power running, I think the only loads were like my ceiling fan, some very insignificant loads in this room, and I even showcased today how a single fan does basically nothing to affect the voltage levels in the house. So just a whole bunch of insignificant loads adding up to probably no more than like 150 watts at the time, and the voltage was still low. That's obviously because of external grid strain, because air conditioning demand is so high everywhere else. So even if you are conserving electricity and pretty much not even using it, you're still going to be affected by this issue because millions of other people around here are going to be using a lot of it to keep their homes cool. And that is exactly why during the day when I've been making solar power, I've been powering my air conditioner off of my EcoFlow. Not only to benefit the power grid, but to benefit the air conditioner itself by giving it much more clean and sufficient power, you know, at a perfect 120 volts, because My EcoFlow is able to push out up to 1800 watts, and this thing only needs up to 450 at a time. Maybe 460 if it's particularly hot and humid, but it's a pretty rare circumstance, although we are currently going through these rare circumstances, as you have seen. But I'm making solar power during the day, and, you know, it's a good idea to use off-grid power. You don't have to pay for it, it's completely free, you're producing it yourself and using it on site. And this has no connection to the grid when doing so, which means I can run my air conditioner off of this as long as there's sufficient power to give. It's currently sitting at 41% since I've used what I can for today. And, you know, while the solar panel is producing power, I can straight up use that power to power my air conditioner. No additional stress on the grid, and my air conditioner gets to run with perfectly clean power that came straight from the sun into this EcoFlow and is going to my air conditioner, made and used directly on site. And I believe if people were to do that, you know, to alleviate stress on the power grid by maybe, you know, using their own sources of power like this, if they really need to keep their spaces cool with an air conditioner like this, or at the very least, turn your AC up a few degrees and use ceiling fans and stuff so that maybe you won't stress the power grid as much. A cooperative effort can help. This is probably the exact reason that URI issued a voluntary electricity conservation advisory. I forget which day it was, yesterday or Wednesday, but it was to avoid this exact issue from happening because there have been brownouts happening since yesterday. The voltage has been going unusually low, and it's as a result of the excess strain on the power grid due to everybody needing to use their air conditioners to keep their living spaces tolerable at the very least. Especially with the very little overnight relief we had. Like, this is the graph so far, and look at that. It was completely above 80 the entire night. So, no air conditioner means you're basically just sweating the entire night. You won't be able to sleep comfortably, etc. So, during the day when cooling demand is at its peak, that's when I'm also making peak solar power and like to use this, and it has helped. It may have not made much of a difference because this is just one 5,000 BTU air conditioner being taken off the grid for a few hours a day, but anything helps. See, my light just flickered again. So, next time a heat wave of this magnitude happens, hopefully people will listen to these words. If you have, you know, off-grid power sources, use them. Use them, alleviate stress from the grid. It's free too, like you don't have to pay for that because it's power that you're generating on site. And I know that everybody's gonna have these, but to anybody that does, you know, a power station and solar panels, it really isn't a bad idea to use those to take some stress off of the power grid and, you know, save a few cents in your wallet per day. That's all I have for this little tirade on the whole power grid situation. And tomorrow I don't expect it to get much better, but hopefully Sunday when the heat wave ends, things will finally start to return back to normal. And of course, the cherry on top is all of this power grid strain ultimately led to a complete failure for a brief moment here, because, well, everything I saw when I came back was reset around the house. So, to avoid these problems happening in the future, it is best to be mindful of how much electricity you do use from the grid, and if it is possible, use off-grid resources. That's all. So I went down to see the fireworks, and I had my radio with me because of course I would. I don't really go anywhere without it. Gotta stay prepared. And I decided to turn on the news radio and heard about power outages, straight up power outages across the state. So now I'm going to check poweroutage.us. Oh, yikes. Yeah, wow, this is actually really out of hand here. More so than I thought. 472,000 out in Michigan? Why Michigan, of all places? New Jersey, more in line with what I expect. because New Jersey got hit pretty hard by this heat. 246,000 customers are without power in New Jersey. And you can see there's kind of no rhyme or reason anywhere in particular, because it's all driven by the heat. Apparently here in Massachusetts, holy So there are nearly 10,000 customers out here in Massachusetts. A lot of them being up around the Boston area, not really in Boston. And plenty in Cape Cod too, for whatever reason, even though they weren't hit quite as hard by the heat. But yeah, this heat wave definitely has resulted in disaster across a large swath of people here. Alright, if I get a little bit closer, just sit down and get a little bit closer to get some better observation here. Let's just mouse over a bunch of states and see where we get. 41,000 in New York are without power. 200 in Vermont. That's not too bad, actually. $600 in New Hampshire. 2,000 in Maine. Almost 10,000 in Massachusetts, which I just went over. 139 in Rhode Island. That's not that bad. 1,000 in Connecticut. 246,000 out in New Jersey. 89,000 without power in Pennsylvania. 113 in Delaware. 1,147 in Maryland. 2,600, almost 2,700 in West Virginia. 2,400 in East Virginia. 11,000 in North Carolina. 30,000 in Tennessee. Jeez, what is going on here? 3,000 in Kentucky. 99,000 in Ohio without power. That's kind of crazy. 16,000 in Indiana. 56,000 in Illinois. 33,000 in Wisconsin. Minnesota may have not been terribly affected by the heat wave here. 4,000 in Iowa. 472 in Missouri. That's not really that much. And then down here where the heat is more typical, well, Alabama still has a decent number of outages. 4,300. Same with Georgia, 3,500. But otherwise, Florida's around 1,800. These places down here that are more used to the heat don't seem to be getting hammered as hard. But everywhere up here, the map is lit up like crazy, especially Michigan for whatever reason, and New Jersey. And this all results in a total of 1.1 million customers without power nationwide from a heat wave. This is why I went on that rant earlier. Because all of this grid stress not only causes widespread power brownouts, but it can cause straight up grid failure. So your power may just end up completely going out. And that did actually happen here earlier, I just wasn't here to see it. And there's no saying it's not going to happen again, so I got to keep my eyes open for that. But yeah. Look at this. The grid is being stretched to its limit, and there are over 1 million power outages just in this area here. Which is crazy. That is how bad these heat waves are and how high the cooling demand goes when we have a heat wave of this magnitude. So yeah, this has been absolutely ridiculous. In fact, even though today was slightly less hot than yesterday, this right here is the main issue that I want to discuss about today. And whatever data that I've accumulated over the day, including the temperature chart, but also some other new charts that I didn't show in yesterday's part. It's going to be quite interesting. You know, I've never had a heat wave be this bad before. The temperatures have been hotter, but there's never been this much strain on the power grid, because this was a very widespread heat wave with multiple days of these near record temperatures. It was not as high as last year, you know. Last year we just had one day where it got up to 102 degrees and then settled back down the next day, and I don't think it was a truly widespread event. I think it was really just the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast that were dealing with these very high, hot temperatures. And most of everywhere else was doing pretty okay. But this time around, this year, this heat wave was massive. Meaning, not only it affected this area right here, but, well, to sum it up, the whole US East Coast, basically. So, of course, there's the southeastern states, which are used to this kind of heat, and it was pretty typical to slightly above typical for them. But then we have all the way west back through apparently Michigan, dealing with these crazy hot temperatures. Maybe even as far back as Wisconsin too, I'm not sure. So, further west than last time, of course, because I think last year it was only as far west as maybe western New York, and probably to Ohio, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, because I don't have a lot of the map for that day, but it encompassed definitely a lot of people with triple-digit heat. Like, this was a pretty severe heat wave. And even though it wasn't record-setting in terms of the temperatures, the severity was still very high because of just how many people were being slammed with these triple-digit temperatures for multiple days. So, the cooling demand, having to run air conditioners, was sky high. Probably at an all-time high, if I had to take a guess. And, yeah, that ended up causing power brownouts and even straight-up power outages for over 1 million people across the country. So, when we get to the part where I'm showing all of the data I gathered throughout the day, that poweroutage.us map is going to be part of it. I decided to annotate it a little bit, and it will give you a clearer image of what happened in terms of the power outages. And while I don't have any images from earlier today, unfortunately, because I didn't think to check poweroutage.us, not expecting that there would be this wide scale of power outages, you know, I do have the one image from just a little bit ago. And of course, this heat wave, it affected New England, it affected the Mid-Atlantic states, it affected the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes region, New York, New Jersey, all the way south to, like, the Carolinas, basically, and as far west as Michigan and Wisconsin. So a pretty large area was affected by this humongous heat dome. And for a lot of people, it's going to continue. There's not even going to be any relief going forwards for the next few days. But thankfully, tomorrow will be the last day for people up here in New England and some of the Mid-Atlantic states, and then the massive high pressure is finally going to start to recede a little bit and head west. So, out west, they're going to start to get hot again, but relief will finally be brought here by Sunday. At least starting on Sunday. Sunday's still going to be in the 80s. Monday's when we get the true relief, but at least relief will be starting very soon. But you just cannot make up how hot it has been for so many people across the country, which of course drove cooling demand sky high. So, let's go ahead and do some temperature checks real quick, because I think that's in order. Alright. Okay, my light can stay on, there we go. 86 on this thermostat. I guess that's not terrible. I mean, it's getting a little bit cooler, and I really did think it was gonna hit 90 in the house, but that never happened, thankfully. The highest it got was 88 on that thermostat, and 89 here in the kitchen, which is now 87. And let's go down here real quick. That's on, and the fan is still running, but the door is closed for right now. It's not like it's gonna really do much anyways, it's still hot as heck out. 87 out still, and also 87 in, so there essentially is no point to opening doors and windows at the moment. That was a loud firework. Let's head in here, where we've closed the door. Oh, I can smell smoke, because people are, you know, making bonfires and lighting off fireworks. Let's turn the light on so I can see. The window fan is still going in here, and it is probably not doing all that much. Let's see. 86.9. Okay, so maybe a slight amount of cooling, but really not much to speak of. If anything, it has a very slight effect on the temperature in here, and is cooling it down just the tiniest little bit, but since it's still so hot outside, even at 10:30 p.m. Yeah, thank you whoever lit that firework off. As I was saying, since it's still so hot, even at 10:30 p.m., there's really not going to be much overnight relief, and cooling through window fans and other fans and stuff like that is just not going to work. You really need air conditioning in this type of heat wave, and that's exactly the root cause of the issue where cooling demand skyrockets during these heat waves and power brownouts and outages result. Because there's just nothing you can do to manage the heat unless you have air conditioning. Fans are just not going to cut it in this kind of heat, especially if it stays above the 80-degree threshold for the entire duration of the heat wave. Like overnight, doesn't even cool below 80 degrees. If that ends up being the case, then fans just aren't going to do it. They can't, because the air outside is too warm, so you're not going to get cool air in the house. You're just going to continue pumping hot air in and out of the house, which isn't going to help anything. So air conditioning is the only way in this kind of heat. And, you know, having to have millions upon millions of people using air conditioning to keep cool in this kind of heat is going to lead to problems. Anyways, that's kind of all for right now, and I'm going to take a relatively cool shower to try and stay cool, and then we'll update you later with all the statistics I've collected over the day. Alright, it's just after 11 p.m. now, and there's my air conditioner. A rare moment. It's idle, not actually cooling right now. It has had to run very long cycles throughout the day, and when I start showing all of the data that I've accumulated over the course of the day, you will see evidence of that. And I've got a few very unique things that I'm going to present at the end of the video too, which hopefully you're looking forward to, because today was pretty interesting between the power brownouts and everything, so yeah. I decided I would take a relatively cold shower tonight because, well, the rest of the house is still very hot, and it's still like 87 outside as well, so obviously there's not going to be much relief overnight yet again, and that's one of the reasons that for right now the only air exchange happening in the house is the office window fan running right now on medium and not high. And I'm noticing, you know, there is a kind of smoky smell that is being blown in by the window fan, so I don't want to be running it on a high speed and getting that smell everywhere. I mean, it is Independence Day and celebrations are going on, so it's fireworks aplenty outside and people burning bonfires and stuff, so the atmosphere is going to be, you know, full of that smell. So, yeah, I'm limiting air circulation with the outside for right now. So that's kind of the only air circulation between inside and out that there is. And it's not like it would matter anyways, because indoor and outdoor temperatures are pretty much equal right now, so it kind of wouldn't really do much until a little bit later in the night. So right now, kind of not worth it to be running fans and stuff. My air conditioner will keep this room nice and cool. But yeah. Anyways, I decided, you know, upon taking a cold shower, that's kind of the only recourse that people have when it gets this hot and there's no other way of staying cool is a cold shower, because you can really cool your entire self down, and it actually felt pretty great. And didn't contribute any extra heat and humidity to the bathroom, because the bathroom is already hot and humid. So, yeah, it was a great idea, and definitely something that you can do to keep yourself cool during a heat wave and you don't have air conditioning. Just take a cold shower, and maybe the relief won't be that long lasting, but in the moment it will be blissful. It's just another suggestion to stay cool during these heat waves. Alright, it's time. So, there's for my bedroom, of course. You see two areas where the cooling cycle was cut short. One was when I had to do that purposely to you know, transfer my air conditioner back to grid power for my EcoFlow. And then that second one, as you can see, that happened right around like 7:40 something. Yeah, that's when the power outage happened. And these are what you expect, the relative humidity and the dew point. There's the office. There we go. Yeah, there is no obvious signs of any sort of cooling, because, well, those just do not work unless it is an air conditioner, which, of course, there is no air conditioner in that room. Relative humidity. And dew point. I'm not entirely sure what this downward spike is, but yeah, that's what's going on for the office. The bathroom. Yeah. There's the temperature graph, relative humidity, and dew point. In the kitchen. Okay, that's not good. Let me try refreshing it. There we go. There's the temperature trend in the kitchen, which, as you can see, pretty substantial peak there, 89 degrees. Relative humidity seems to be sort of inverted. So that means the dew point, the dew point range wasn't that big. Alright. Now I can look at how much power was made and used today for my EcoFlow. Made 1.12 kilowatt hours. Used 1.01 kilowatt hours. I think that's the first time I've actually used over a kilowatt hour that was produced in a day. We're savings of 34 cents worth of power, which is the highest all week, as you can see. So, yeah, there's from the EcoFlow there. Now, in terms of the other data that was promised, got some interesting stuff here. So, of course, there's the at-home temperature observations graph, and yeah, it's very similar to yesterday's, where there was like this double peak for some reason. The first one happening in the very early afternoon, and the second one happening in the very late afternoon, and the second one, of course, being higher and longer. I have no idea what is behind that, but definitely something to note. But even more noteworthy is the overnight low staying entirely above 80 degrees, which you can clearly see on this graph too. Next up, I have an interesting chart. This is a comparison between 3 rooms of the house. A normalized chart here. So we got my bedroom, and then there's the kitchen and the office. Each one has its distinct label there. And there's temperature, humidity, and dew point for you. And it's pretty interesting to see how the temperature trended overnight inside along with outside. So there's that. And you can see it stayed above like 83 degrees inside overnight. Well, except for my bedroom. My bedroom, of course, my air conditioner was conditioning my air all night. So that, of course, stayed a lot cooler. And one more thing for you. Yep, the PowerOutage.us map. So, this is just a summary, basically, of what I observed earlier tonight on PowerOutage.us. And I just wrote numbers on some of the states that are not on the leaderboard on the left. If a state is highlighted any particular color and there's no number written on it, then the outage count is on the left there. Otherwise, for those states where there was a significant number of outages because of all the cooling demanded stuff, I decided to write numbers on them, including for Massachusetts, for Maine, for Connecticut, and for any state that was above like 1,000, except for maybe a few, I'm not sure. But for the most part, it paints a pretty good picture of how bad this heat wave cooling demand was, and the grid stress and everything. And you can see the total outage count on the left there too. Over 1 million people without power. And this was at like 10:30 p.m. So it was really bad. And there was even a momentary power outage that I missed here. But there was a power outage, and of course a pretty substantial, what I would consider to be a power brownout, because the voltage went all the way down to like 102 during the day. So, yep, things got pretty rough here. But thankfully, we made it through yet another day of this astonishingly outstanding heat wave, which is still not over yet. There's still tomorrow, day 4. And, yeah. Well, in any case, that's gonna do it for day 3 of the heat wave here. This has been definitely one of the toughest days so far. I don't know about in comparison to yesterday, but today definitely presented challenges, you know. And, yeah. Hopefully tomorrow, since it won't be quite as hot, there will be some relief, but tomorrow is also the 4th of July, so there's no guarantees of anything. And tomorrow is going to be pretty interesting, because I'm going to be at my aunt's for celebrations, so yeah. I'll see what I will get tomorrow, though. In any case, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. This has been day 3 of the 2026 mega heat wave. Definitely the most interesting one by far, although the temperatures weren't the most extreme today because yesterday they were a tiny bit higher. But today was more interesting because there seems to be more effects coming from the heat wave rather than just pure hot temperatures this time around. So even though the temperatures were just a tiny bit cooler out today compared to yesterday, there was a worse power brownout situation, a full-scale power outage, which happened while I was eating at a restaurant somewhere. And of course, the indoor temperature getting higher because there was barely any overnight relief, which same story will apply for tonight, unfortunately. So, yeah. In any case, that is it for this part, and I hope to see you for tomorrow's part, which is going to be pretty interesting. Although there probably won't be quite as much for me to share and discuss because I'm not going to be here for much time at all tomorrow, and it's also not going to be as hot and probably not as interesting either, so yeah, we'll just see what happens, but that's all I got for tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.